Over the past several days, I've been sharing the Xylo story. So we've gone from 2012 all the way up to 2016, and today we're going to talk about what happened in 2017. So at the beginning of 2017, I seriously started praying about closing Xylo. Things just weren't going as well as I thought they would, and of course between family and my new job, I just didn't have a ton of time to focus on Xylo. So I spent about 2 weeks just seriously praying through that and taking some time to really think through it. And I'll never forget, my wife and Stella and I were walking down our street, and about 2 weeks later, and I said, Rachel, I don't know why, but I feel like the Lord wants us to keep Xylo open. I wasn't making any sales at that point or anything like that. It didn't make any sense for me to keep it open, but for some reason I felt like the Lord wanted me to keep going with the Xylo, and so I said, I feel like I need to keep it open, and she said, okay, sounds good. So that was January. Now fast forward to March, and I really wasn't doing much already. I think I did like one bat in January and February combined, but I was sitting at home in March. We were about to eat dinner, and I get a text from my friend who had the connection with Joe. And I open up the text, and all of a sudden I read, you're never gonna believe this, but Joe wants to use your bats for the season. And I was floored. I couldn't believe that Joe tried our bats, and he liked it enough to really be interested in using it for the season. So of course I tell my wife, and we're so excited, and I get right to work with trying to figure out with the MLB what I needed to do in order to be approved for Joe to be able to use it. And so start going through that process, and I really couldn't get any information back from them. But you know what, at the end of the day, I thought, I think I could make him a few bats. And maybe worst case scenario is he could use them in batting practice until I figure some things out and go from there. So I quickly make him 3 bats at the end of March, kind of beginning of April time frame. And it was a Friday. I remember that I looked at their schedule because I thought, okay, I'm going to be done with these on Sunday. I need to figure out where they're playing because they're in season now, and where I need to ship these bats. And so I look at their schedule, and sure enough, they're playing the Texas Rangers in Arlington Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I thought, oh my goodness, what incredible timing. And so I reached out to our mutual contact, and I was like, hey, is there any chance that Joe might be okay with us just bringing the bats down since they're going to be playing in Arlington? And so he reached out, and he said, oh, of course, Joe would be happy to do that. And so we get it all set up, and we go down there that Wednesday, down to Arlington. Funny side story, we show up in a minivan, and it's literally me and my wife and my daughter, and we're trying to find a parking spot. All the parking spots are closed, and we're trying to tell people, hey, we have bats for Joe Mauer. Can we park in here? And everyone's like, I don't know if that's true. But thankfully someone finally let us in, and we got to go into the stadium before the game and before their batting practice. And of course we got to meet Joe that day, and he was incredibly kind to my family. And I remember even walking up to the field, we had a backpack, we had the bats, we had our stroller, of course our daughter, and we get to the steps to go up to the field, and Joe's like, here, let me grab the front of the stroller, you grab the back. And so we're walking out, and he's carrying the stroller with Stella in it with me, and so it was just a really, really cool experience. And this is actually the first bat that he used on the Rangers field during batting practice. This was the first bat that I made him. I hit a couple home runs with this bat during batting practice, which was really cool. My favorite part about this bat is if you look right here, you can see the MLB logo where he hit one of the baseballs, which is so cool. But he was kind enough to give this back to me after that day, just so that way I could keep it. And another really cool thing about that day is we got to meet some other players. Byron Buxton met with Torrey Hunter to talk about getting bats to his son, and so it really opened up the door at that point. I would say we went from a local scale to a statewide scale at that point, and we started getting orders pretty quickly after that, after I posted those pictures on social media. So after hearing everyone's feedback and just the interest of Xylo that day, we knew we needed to start working towards being MLB approved so these guys could use our bats. And so started working towards that. And the crazy thing was, I only made 1 bat from January up to March. And then all of a sudden I post these pictures, and we kind of get on a statewide scale really quick. And I remember making right around 40 bats, the last week of April and May combined. So it kind of jumped pretty quick, and I knew at that point I needed some help. So thankfully I was able to bring on my brother-in-law, Ross Harrison, to come help, and we got right to work trying to figure out what to do. What does our process look like? What does the process with the MLB look like? And we started working towards that. So we were trucking right along, we were getting orders out, and we were trying to figure out what all we needed to do for the MLB. Everything was going well, until the fall of 2017, we really figured out that we are not going to have enough wood to be able to supply to the MLB. And so, and we didn't have the finances to be able to just go buy $25,000 worth of wood. And so really started praying through that and trying to figure out, how are we gonna make that happen? And I remember one day, it was a Thursday, came across a video on social media that Chip Gaines had posted from Fixer Upper, and he said, "Hey, I want to do this contest called Chip Starter. Submit your dream and the financial amount that you need to get to the next step of that dream, and we'll pick a winner." And so I thought, well, it doesn't hurt to try. So I submitted a video, told them the dream was to be MLB approved, and the financial amount that we needed to make that happen. And I made that video, submitted it, and actually didn't hear anything. I was supposed to hear something by 5 on that next Tuesday if I ended up being a finalist, and didn't hear anything. And started texting all my friends, "Hey, didn't make it, but got a cool video out of it at least." And then around 7:30 that night, I get a call, and all it says is Waco, Texas, and I thought, no way. And sure enough, I answer it, and it's someone from Magnolia, and they're like, "Hey, we would love to tell you that you're actually one of the 6 finalists of Chip Starter, and so we need you to come down this weekend and kind of present your dream in front of this crowd at Celebration, and see if you end up winning." And so I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is happening. There ended up being right around 2,700 entries worldwide, and we were one of the 6 picked, which was really, really incredible. And so we go down there that weekend, and I present for, I believe you had 1 minute to present. And thankfully at the end of the day, all 6 finalists were able to walk away with their financial amount. So this is actually the big check we got from Chip Starter, which is really awesome. And it was just such a huge blessing in the time that we needed it. And if there's one thing that I learned in 2017, it was just the power of prayer. We went into it and we didn't know how to do anything, and really just through prayer and figuring things out, we were able to figure out a lot of things. And not to say that we're going to pray for something and it's automatically going to happen, but I think God just taught us to be faithful in our prayer, and so it was just really cool to see how He came through in that way, and getting us ready to go into the MLB in 2018. So that's the crazy story of 2017. Definitely a pivotal year for Xylo Bats. And I'm excited to talk about 2018 tomorrow. So make sure to like this video and share it with someone who would enjoy watching this. And I look forward to talking to you tomorrow as we keep walking through the Xylo story.